Pre-lab is due this today. I know because things have been weird lately, and a lot of you haven't turned in the pre-lab. It's okay if you guys turned it in like today, later today, but starting next week it does have to be done before 3:30. Um, if it's not done before 3:30, then you're gonna get a 0 on the pre-lab, and that's not gonna be fun. But post-lab is gonna be due at 11:59. But just for today, pre-lab 11:59 is okay. Anytime after that, it's going to be a 0. Um, there's no quiz today, so you guys don't have to stress about that. Um, but yeah, today we're going to be talking about the melting point. Do you guys want me to share my screen with y'all? That make things easier? Okay, so this is our melting point experiment. This should be in your lab manual. Today we'll be investigating on how to identify organic solids using melting point, but you're only going to be doing one organic solid versus like several of them. Um, this first paragraph is talking about like what you're going to be exploring, some background information so when you're doing the melting point experiment, it's really crucial that you follow all the steps in the procedure and you don't do anything wrong. Like I remember when I was doing it, if you just have something tilted to the side just slightly, the whole experiment will go wrong and your numbers will be skewed. So everything has to be perfect. But everything is perfect for y'all. Y'all are watching the video. Um, the stuff that you guys are going to be looking at, it's often used as like painkillers. So I don't know if you guys noticed the trend, but a lot of the things we'll be working with are like pain relievers, painkillers, and then just stuff that like uses other stuff to dissolve. Um, has everyone watched the video yet? No one. Okay, so that's not that great, but it's okay because lab just started. So you guys are gonna see like an apparatus that kind of looks like this in the laboratory that you'll be using. So, like I said, like if this apparatus were to be like slightly tilted, it would mess up your experiment, and then you probably have to redo it again. But you would put in your solid, which I'm going to show in the video. So your solid's going to come in like a really hard like structure, and you would want to mash it up like mashed potatoes and make it like powdery. So that way it'd be easier to um, melt in the experiment. And as you see in the video, like it has a really powdery-like substance inside of the stick. And then you see him insert the stick into the melting point device. And then this machine measures the melting point and the temperature it's at. So the melting point will stop at a number probably between like 110 to like 130, but it'll give you an exact number and you'll use that in your data. Um, so let's see. So that's the melting point experiment summed up. Um, the steps are important to read, like the procedure, so you know, like when you're doing your data sheet, which melting point is going to be which, because at the bottom on the data sheet there are 3 different organic uh, compounds that you're going to be looking at, and you want to make sure you have the right one for each of the 3. We're not going to do the bottom 2 because we're only doing one trial for each one. As far as I'm concerned, for part C on the data, we are not doing that just because we don't have an unknown number. And in the video, there's the unknown was supposed to be provided to us, but you guys weren't provided an unknown. So just ignore that part C. You don't lose points for it. It's just not part of the experiment today. The pre-lab assignment, that's you guys should have done that by now, but if you haven't, get that done in a bit. And then on the post lab, there is a question 2A that a lot of people struggled with in the first lab. So it just says like, how could the students have verified that their products were sulfonamide? And what I said was, so a lot of the things for organic chemistry that you'll learn is your best friend's going to be Wikipedia. So Wikipedia is often, it's pretty accurate about everything as far as chemistry questions go. And I would suggest you guys read this just on sulfonamide. And if you look at the appearance, you can also see in the video that is it white? Is it a powder? And like compare its melting points to answer that question. As far as lab goes, does anybody have any questions?
So because he didn't send us the unknown and because it wasn't provided in the video that he's posted, we are not going to do part C anymore, as well as part B.
Yeah, so in the video, it says that we won't be doing part B, and then part C was supposed to be emailed to you guys, but there's been no email about the values, so I would say just not do that part. You guys won't be taking credit off or anything like that, so just ignore part C and B. Part A, so basically you're going to be, for your data sheet, you're going to record the melting temperatures that are shown in the video for the 3 compounds, and then you guys would just answer the questions for the lab. And like I said, Wikipedia is a really good source if you don't know about like melting point behavior or what's the full compound for sulfonamide or tartic acid. You can just look it up on Wikipedia. So, any more questions?
I put a question in the chat, but we got an email talking about the live lab being online, but he also said something about the data for the lab that we already have a due date for. Should we resubmit it with that data, or is it okay if we already submitted it with the data that was said in the video?